Well, hello and a warm welcome to our Facebook Live on how we can beat the coronavirus by boosting our immune system. And I know that many of you are going through a very difficult time right now, and that's totally understandable. You know, this has come out of the blue, and many of you have been emailing into our clinic and have been sharing with us the fears, the anxieties that you might be facing right now. And as you go through that, just allow yourself to become aware of the emotions and the feelings that come up. Sometimes we're in such a rush, we get overwhelmed with the fear. We don't get an opportunity to really take a step back and understand how that feels and what's really going on in our bodies. So I empathize with you if you're going through a difficult time right now. And when you observe that fear, I want you to go deeper through it and realize that actually there is a way through. There is something that we can do about this. And this is where I want to give you the hope today that we together, we're in this together, we can do something about the coronavirus. And you might think, well, what on earth is that? Well, at the moment, the media is focusing on avoidance, which is exactly right. We should be avoiding the virus wherever possible. But just as important is empowering ourselves and our immune systems to overcome this virus. Because when we make our nervous system stronger and our immune system stronger, it means we are better able to overcome the virus ourselves if we do get it without symptoms. We're better able to make sure we don't pass it on to family and friends. And we're less likely to obviously need the use of medical facilities which are severely stretched right now. So all of those benefits come when we take charge of our immune system. And today, I'm really excited that you're here with me today to really look at what we can do to facilitate that. Okay? And, you know, the mainstream medical profession, modern medicine has been incredible in what it's achieved. Okay? But it's also set up as a sickness industry rather than a preventative healthcare industry. So at the moment, what are we being told? Avoid it, and if you are elderly or you have underlying health issues, then be very careful, is basically advice. Whereas actually, if we can support our bodies to do the job that it was supposed to do, our bodies are designed to fight off viruses. It has that function deeply embedded within it. And there's no cure for this right now. A vaccine en masse seems at least 12 to 18 months away. So instead of waiting for the medical profession to support us, we need to now take charge and learn about information that perhaps we don't read anywhere else, which is how can we boost our immune power? And then I'm very excited to share with you what we're launching today, and you are the first people to hear about this. We are going to be launching right now the Coronavirus Challenge. The Coronavirus Challenge is a 10-day challenge to boost your immune system, to empower your immune system, to make it the strongest that it can be so that you can fight off this virus if you get it. And obviously the way it's looking right now, a large percentage of each country, the population, will contract this virus. But there's a difference between being exposed to this virus and it actually causing symptoms in your body, or then it going on to hospitalization or anything else like that. And you might say, well, hang on, but this is, unprecedented. How can we stop this virus? Believe it or not, there are many lifestyle changes that we can make that could actually reduce our chances of getting symptoms from this virus by up to 80%. And I don't use those figures lightly. This is based on the last 20 years of research that we've been doing into the immune system and how we can strengthen our immune system, because we've spent the last 20 years supporting and healing in patients with ME, chronic fatigue syndrome, fibromyalgia. And so we've learned a lot about how people's bodies respond, how their immune systems respond. And therefore, we've built up this knowledge base. And now we want to share that knowledge base with everybody on the planet completely free, in terms of what is it that we can do right now, tomorrow, starting, in fact, today, that can boost our immune system and potentially reduce our chances of getting symptoms by up to 80%. And if we do get this particular condition, then actually halving the number of days that we have the symptoms. Right? And this is based on the Gupta MEND program. There are 4 aspects of our lifestyle that often are neglected by the mainstream medical profession. Certainly it's things that are given as general advice, but it's not something that your 10-minute appointment with your doctor will really tell you about and really support you. By the way, we'd love to see your comments and, of course, your likes, your smileys, your hearts. Always nice to see those waving across the screen as we're doing our Facebook Lives. And also what I'd love for you to do is to share this on your Facebook pages, because we are in this together. This is one of the first times in human history where actually that idea that we are all one, that what I do and what you do, we impact each other. So there's no point us powering our immune system up, but other people's immune systems being low. We've all got to take a collective responsibility to boost our immune systems so that we reduce the spread across our local regions, our countries, and put less of a burden on our medical facilities so that the medical profession can deal with the most severe cases. And each of us can take that responsibility. And that's what's empowering. So when we're feeling afraid, when we're feeling like the rug has been pulled from beneath our feet, that nothing's going to be the same, and we feel helpless, out of control, in that moment we can say, actually, I can take back control by doing the things that I've always known I should do, which are these 4 things, MEND, the MEND program. So M stands for mind. E stands for energizing the body, which means activity, exercise, etc. N stands for nighttime routine and sleep. And D stands for diet. These are the 4 fundamental aspects of what builds our immunity. Okay? And in the coronavirus challenge, which is a 10-day challenge for you to boost your immune system, to supercharge it, and then keep those changes going for the next few months, each of those letters has an important role to play in our immunity. So we start with M for mind. We know that in science, if we get stressed, if we become fearful, if we're not sleeping at night because we're afraid of the situation that we're in, that impacts directly on our immune system. E for activity. E for energizing the body, so that's activity and exercise. In the coronavirus challenge, you will learn ways that you could reduce the chances of getting one of these viruses by a factor of 5 if this coronavirus behaves similarly to previous coronaviruses. Okay. So there have been studies where they ask people to walk for 30 to 40 minutes a day compared to another group that does stretching for the same amount of time. And they found that the group that actually walked 30 to 40 minutes a day halved the number of viruses that they contracted. Okay, so that's E for exercise and energizing the body. N is for nighttime routine and sleep. Studies have shown that when we work really hard to deepen our sleep, not just lengthen our sleep, but deepen our sleep, if we do this well, we can reduce our chances of getting colds and flus by up to a factor of 6. Yeah? I don't use those statistics lightly, but this is what the mainstream medical profession doesn't really particularly research or tell you about, because they rely on you get sick, you come to them, they give you a pill, you leave, and hopefully you're fine. But it's set up as a system that is not preventative in its nature. Therefore, this knowledge that you could reduce your chances of getting symptoms by a factor of 5 or 6 is something where the evidence base is out there, but you aren't being told about it. This knowledge is not being shared. So in the Coronavirus Challenge, which is a brand new website with a brand new set of videos, which we're launching today, you'll get to experience and have access to all of this knowledge. And finally, D for diet. There are changes that you can make to your diet, depending on how bad your diet is right now, that can actually halve the chances of you getting symptoms from this virus. Okay? And if you do get symptoms, once again, it can halve the number of days that you actually have the symptoms. And that means, once again, that you don't pass it on to as many people in your family or your friend circle, and then on top of that, you're less of a burden on the medical facilities around you. And you might say, well, what are all these factors? I don't want to give you superficial answers. What I want you to do is to take the coronavirus challenge for 10 days. It's absolutely free. There's no ifs, there's no buts, there's no upsell. This is a real set of 10 sessions where you have a video, you have meditations, you have exercises, and you also have a supportive community that you can be part of to actually start sharing these ideas with other people. So once again, some of these tools in the coronavirus challenge will reduce your chances of getting symptoms by a factor of 5 or 6. That's one of the tools inside the exercise and energizing your body module. And in terms of nighttime routine and sleep, there are also some tools that can reduce your chances by a factor of 5 or 6, 80% reduction in your chances, right? And this is something that we've been working on over the last month. The whole of the Gupta program team have been working night and day to bring this knowledge to you. Because we do it because we've learned so much over the last 20 years, and we want to share this with everyone because this really can make the biggest impact. Of course, isolating ourselves is so important. But imagine if all of us together, as a collective, as a civilization, boosted our immunity against this virus, doing what our bodies are designed to do. What a difference that could make. What an amazing transformation that could be for our personal health and the people around us. So, what I'd like you to do, the website will be launched at 6:30 p.m. UK time, straight after today's webinar. The website address is www.thecoronaviruschallenge.com. Okay, and we will launch the site once the final video has been uploaded, which is day 1 of the 10-day challenge. Okay. So in this 10-day challenge, you'll log in, and each day you will get a new video, a new set of exercises, and on top of that, you will get a whole list of references. So rather than me telling you that this is the evidence or this is what science says, I want you to be empowered to read the research yourself. We have the time right now. You know, many of us are isolating and spending a lot more time indoors. So we have a lot of time on our hands. Instead of allowing ourselves to feel helpless, out of control, getting depressed or anxious, this is the moment of our calling. This is the time to find the hero within and say, I will not be held back by this virus. I will not allow it to pull me down. Instead, I'm going to empower myself to be the healthiest that I can be. This is the perfect opportunity to do that. I'm going to look after my mind by using the meditation exercises and the calming exercises. And remember, meditation has been clinically shown, once again, to halve your chances of getting a virus. I'm going to exercise and energize my body. And it doesn't just mean running or going to the gym. It actually means movement. So we're going to give you easy ways that you can implement a set of techniques that gets your circulation going, that gets your lymphatic drainage moving, and then that means that your body is stronger. And once again, some of these tools will halve your chances. There are some things in terms of exercise that can actually reduce it by a factor of 5 or 6. Then we're going to get your sleep much deeper. So your sleep needs to lengthen if you're not getting enough sleep. But it's not just the length, it's actually the depth of the sleep. So studies have shown the depth of the sleep can actually impact it 5 or 6 times. And finally, the diet. We've all heard people say, oh, you need to eat this, you need to eat that. This is the right diet for you. Okay? So that particular diet, the one that's been shown to boost your immune system, reduce your chances of getting viruses like colds and flus, that's the information that we will be sharing. Okay? And I've just been told by my team that actually we're going to have to launch this at 7 p.m. UK time, simply because we're just waiting for that first video to be uploaded so you can go there and you can start the coronavirus challenge straight away. Okay, so just checking on that. Okay, so it's still uploading, so this is all live, and because of everyone being at home and using bandwidth, it simply means that A lot of things aren't quite working. So the reason we were late onto our Facebook Live today is because Zoom and many other of these services are in fact not running at their full capacity, or certainly they're running at their full capacity, which means we aren't able to get our live stream in. So, once again, the website is www.thecoronaviruschallenge.com. But it won't be accessible right now because we're just waiting for that very first video to upload. All right. And I'd love you to share it with everybody. Once again, please do share this live stream on your home pages. So you can click the share button and then share this on your personal Facebook pages or groups that you belong to, because the more that we can share this knowledge of how to boost our immune system, the more that we're helping ourselves, the people and our friends and family around us, and also the wider society and community. We're all in this together. We all need to do this. Yeah. So, this is the challenge that I set to all of you. Can you be prepared to look at the lifestyle that you're engaging in right now, the levels of activity, the things you're eating, and say to yourself, actually, I'm prepared to change some of this. I believe that actually the way that I'm living can change. Yeah? You know, many of us have become complacent about this particular virus. And there's a story of a guy who lives very close to me that I heard about. And he was in his 30s and he contracted the virus and he had a bit of a cough, a sore throat, but he thought, what's the big deal? You know, what's everyone worried about? It's just like a normal cold or a normal flu. And then unfortunately, he passed it on to his father because this is a very contagious virus. And his father got the coronavirus, the COVID-19, and unfortunately passed away. None of us want to be that person. None of us want to be somebody who got the symptoms, and when we're coughing and when we're sneezing, it's more likely that we will pass those droplets to other people around us. Yeah? Let me explain a bit of the science behind this so we can understand how this virus is spreading and why boosting our immune system will actually make all the difference. Right? So, as we understand it, this is what we call a coronavirus, which is a set of viruses including colds. So there are certain colds that we get, cold virus, which is also a coronavirus. And what happens is that virus goes into our mouth or into our nose, and the first set of defenses are the mucus that we have, the snot, basically, that says, I will not allow viruses and bacteria to actually penetrate this first layer. Okay? That is our first set of defenses where the antibodies find these viruses and defend. And that's when, if we have got a strong immune system, that virus may never actually penetrate into our lungs because the system recognizes it and is then able to replicate the white blood cells and keep a memory of those antibodies so that if that virus was then received again, the body can fight it off easily. But if our immune system is weak, that virus then is able to penetrate into the back of the nose and then is able to infect cells and travel down the throat. Once again, at those particular stages of this virus, if we have a strong immune system, we reduce the chances of it being able to progress down into the lungs. Right? So we're able to inhibit its progress. Once again, so the second layer, the second stage of our immune system, we want it to be working well so it doesn't penetrate. The third stage is when this virus starts penetrating into the lungs. And for those people who are elderly and those people who have underlying health conditions, they're far more likely to have a compromised immune system, which isn't able to fight off the virus as it makes that journey down into the lungs. And once it gets into the lungs, it is not the virus that people are dying from. It is the complications from the virus. So the next step that happens is the virus enters our lungs. Our immune system goes into hyper defense mode and says, we now have an invader that's in the lungs. This is now a life and death situation. We must do something about it. So then the immune system overreacts and over-responds and creates what we call an inflammatory response around the lungs. So what this means is that our own immune system is over-inflaming our lungs. And by overinflaming the lungs, it makes our lungs far more vulnerable to opportunistic infections. So those infections are things like pneumonia and other types of bacterial infections. And if people have a weak immune system that already allowed the virus to get into their lungs, then obviously they have less protection against those particular bacterial infections or other complications which may occur. So we can see that strengthening our own immune system works at many different layers of where this virus actually travels down into our lungs. And it can create a barrier at each of those stages. And this is now a sea change in how we look at health. We are so used to being part of a sickness industry, which is something goes wrong, we see the doctor, we get a pill and try and get better. No, now is a time to be empowered, that we're in charge of our own health. And this knowledge has always been there since ancient times for millennia. And it's kind of got lost. And now it's coming back in the last 10, 20 years or so. This knowledge of actually how we make our bodies stronger so that we have less illnesses, less chance of actually getting symptoms from an illness. So you may well contract the virus. It may well land in your nose or in your throat or in your eye. But because your immune system is strong, you're able to create the antibodies, you're able to fight it off before it causes any symptoms. And the quicker that you fight it off, the less like it is to infect other people around you. So you're doing a service to yourself and you're doing a service to your family, your friends and society. And this is why this is so important that we all take the coronavirus challenge and we spread it out there as much as possible. Okay, good. You know, when we are feeling that anxiety, that stress about the situation that we're in, I'd like you to realize that at the moment, we're getting triggered because we are consuming this 24-hour news. And it's very tempting. We have this morbid curiosity to say, what's the latest number of infections? What's the latest numbers of deaths? And we're glued to our screens. And all that is doing is increasing the fear, the anxiety, the uncertainty within us. What I would advise all of us to do for the sake of our immune system and our strength is to shut off the news channels right now. Of course, you check in to find out what it is that you need to do in terms of the practicalities. But in terms of consuming this 24-hour news media, we are getting caught up in that drama, which is draining our immune system. And that is the first M of the MEND protocol, the mind. Let's take care of our minds by closing off this 24-hour news cycle. Secondly, when it comes to Facebook and all of these other mediums, most of the posts now are about the coronavirus. And can we make a pledge to ourselves that actually, sure, we can read some of the positive posts, but we're not going to obsessively read every single thing that we see about the coronavirus. That isn't good for our health. Our minds are fragile in these experiences. Our amygdalas, which are the parts of our brain that trigger defensive responses, when we have uncertainty, when we have fear about the future, our amygdalas start firing off loads of neurotransmitters into the brain, hijacking our prefrontal cortex, telling the brain, we're in danger, we're in danger. Forget thinking about anything else. Only think about this particular situation. So it creates hypervigilance. So we become hypervigilant about ourselves and our environments. And that fear takes over. In that moment of sympathetic response in the body, what we call the stress response, what that does is it reduces the ability of our white blood cells to find infections and destroy them. It reduces the ability of our antibodies to actually deal with the virus. So, although some of us are obsessively watching the TV as if it's some kind of TV drama unfolding, let's resist that temptation and instead, let's watch uplifting things, things that make us laugh. M for mind is about laughter and joy and reconnecting with that, because now we have that time. We're at home, we're with our family and friends. So shutting off that media is a really important part of protecting our minds. Secondly is developing that connection to people around us. Many of us for the first time are spending a lot of time with family and friends and not having that break from people. In those moments, let's rediscover new connections with the people around us. And thirdly, and most importantly, for your nervous system and your immune system, is get into nature. You know, with the isolation that we're experiencing and the recommendations from the government, we can still go outside into the fresh air, into greenery, as long as we're keeping away from other people, and walk in parks, walk on the beach, walk in nature. And this has been clinically shown to boost the immune system and boost the number of white blood cells in the body. So a simple and easy way that you can boost your mood, boost your immunity, is getting into nature. And what's the sweet spot? The sweet spot is at least 30 to 40 minutes. Let's err on the side of caution. Let's say 45 minutes a day. I'd love for you to be walking in nature. And what that will do for your body, you have no idea. It will really be rejuvenating the body. And in Japan, they have a special process they go through called forest bathing, which is called shirin-yoku, where they go off into a forest for a weekend and go for forest walks. And when they've studied the immune system of people who walk in forests, they find that the positive impact on the immune system lasts for many weeks. Now, isn't that incredible? It's because we as human beings have lost that connection to living according to the natural world, our natural immunity that is there. And we've shut ourselves off in boxes, sitting in front of screens, consuming mass media. And what did we think was going to happen to our immune systems? What did we think was going to happen to our mood? The spiraling of anxiety and depression and the increase of immune disorders such as cancer and all these other conditions. It's because we're not living according to our nature. And I appreciate there are certain countries, and Karine has just brought that up, where people aren't even allowed to go outside because of the lockdown. So where could you walk inside your apartment? I know it sounds silly, but actually walking up and down the stairs, doing exercise indoors is still good for your system. And then we find that actually, if we go a step further, and instead of just walking in nature and brisk walks for 30 to 40 minutes, we actually start exercising and do cardiovascular workouts in a moderate way. We start reducing our chances of getting a coronavirus or a flu by up to 80%. And in the Coronavirus Challenge, which is a new website with a new set of materials there, completely free, I'm not just going to go through these surface level statements, these sound bites. I'm going to take you deep into the science of all of these different aspects of how we boost our immune system. And I'm going to give you all of the research studies that back it up and support it. So you become empowered to make your own decisions. If someone says to us, oh, eat this, eat that, it's good for you. We said, yeah, maybe, yeah, it probably sounds good for my immune system. But when we see the research in black and white in front of us, then hopefully it gives us that added incentive to make the difference. By the way, I'm loving your comments that you're all sharing with us on social media. Once again, please do share this stream on your Facebook pages. And if you're parts of groups online, please share this knowledge on those groups as well. And as I said, our new Coronavirus Challenge will be launching at the end of our Q&A at, let's just say probably 7 p.m. UK time today. You'll be able to go onto there, and then you'll be able to watch the very first video, which is actually on diet. And on diet, we talk about how can we shift our diet. What are the things that reduce our immune system straight away? Did you know there are certain foods that we eat that as soon as we eat them, within minutes, our immune system drops. And our immunity is lower for up to 5 hours. Now, isn't that incredible? Up to 5 hours. This is important information because that means if we have that food and then we are exposed to the virus, then we instantly have a 5 times higher chance of that virus penetrating those initial layers of defense and becoming an infection, which then means we have symptoms like coughing and sneezing, which then means we pass it on to the other people. And that lowered immunity makes it more likely that we then may have further infections in the lungs and that's when it starts getting dangerous, where about 10 to 15% of the population may need hospitalization if they've got weak immune systems. But if we all come together and strengthen our immune systems, what a difference we could make. Someone's asked me, what foods? I'm going to give you an example of one of those foods right away. Sugar. Now, we've all heard sugar is bad for us, right? And, we think, okay, I should probably lower my sugar intake. And whilst we're at home and we're feeling fearful and negative, that temptation to reach for that chocolate bar or that donut is even higher because it gives us, we think, a temporary boost in mood. So we just want to have that quick win. But now, empowered with this knowledge, if you know that eating that chocolate bar or having that sugar will reduce your immunity, then that starts shifting and changing ourselves at a behavioral level because now we've got an added incentive. Another example, smoking. If you're an occasional smoker or a regular smoker, or if you smoke shisha, your chances of actually contracting this virus and dying from a complication from pneumonia are 5 or 6 times higher. Okay? 5 or 6 times higher. So if you smoke or someone you know smokes, I would love for you to impart this knowledge to them and say, for the sake of your health, you must stop smoking because that is the most dangerous thing you can do when you have this virus. Okay? People ask me, what about dark chocolate with antioxidants and all of these things? Everything is a balance. The lower your sugar levels, the better your immunity. Of course, dark chocolate offers certain feel-good chemicals and antioxidants that can boost our immune system, but it's all a balance. Okay? Good. So, all it leaves me to say is, I hope you are now feeling empowered, that rather than being brought down and pulled down emotionally by what you're seeing around you, we can use this as an opportunity to do what we've always needed to do in our lives, which is to radically shift our lifestyles. And some of these aren't radical shifts, these are small changes that we can make. To find that hero within. Without a villain, there can be no hero. And that courage can only exist where there is fear, where there is a challenge, where there is tragedy. So let's link and connect to that human spirit. We all have it within us. Link to that human spirit, connect to it, get empowered and say, I'm going to make a difference. I'm going to take charge and take responsibility for my health, boost my immune system, help my family and my friends boost their immune system, and then we can make an impact and make a difference and reduce the spread of this virus. That is the message that we're not getting in the mainstream media right now, and that's what I'd love for all of you to be the pioneers and spread this message across the internet. One way you can do this is to spread this particular webinar, this Facebook Live on your Facebook pages and across other social media. And secondly, once we launch the coronavirus challenge, the 10-day coronavirus challenge, which has everything you need to boost your immune system based on 20 years of research. Once we launch that, you can share many of the pages on different social media. So you can share it on WhatsApp, Instagram, via email, and on Facebook. So when you share those particular bits of information, then other people know that, hey, I'm taking the coronavirus challenge. I'm taking responsibility for my immunity. And that will encourage other people that you connect with to also take responsibility for their health. So we are all that domino that has that effect on everybody else. Many of you may have seen those diagrams where one person, if they don't isolate, they can infect another 10 people, which impacts on another 100 people. Let's reverse that now and say, if I actually take responsibility for my immunity, and that means I infect 10 less people, who then go on to infect 100 less people. What I do here and now makes a difference on this planet. Because we all want to be empowered. We all feel helpless. What can I do? I'm a victim of this. No. We can do and support our bodies to do what they're designed to do. Viruses have always existed in our history. And now our bodies are there to make a difference right now. We can do this. So, the website, once again, is www.thecoronaviruschallenge.com. And it will be launched as soon as the first video is ready. and we're just waiting to hear from our team if it is ready for you to start your 10-day challenge. And this is part of a pledge. Let's all pledge together to do what we can to actually look after our immune systems. Okay. So, before we go any further, I'm actually going to check myself if we have gone live, because I'm waiting for my team to give me the go-ahead. And once again, I'd like to thank my team who have worked tirelessly over the last few weeks, over the last month, to produce this. So I'd like to thank Jess, our marketing manager, who has worked night and day to make this happen. Drishan, our amazing web guy, who has put all of this together in a magical short period of time. To Carrie and Mike, our film crew, who have put this together. And all of the team, part of the Gupta program, who've made this happen. So let's just check now, are we ready to launch? This is very, very exciting. So I'm just checking to see if the first video, Day 1 for Diet, is actually ready for you to go. And for those of you who are doing the Gupta program, I would still like you to do the coronavirus challenge, although there are a lot of similar tools there. There's some new information there as well. Okay. Okay, so we haven't quite gone live yet, so I'd like you to pause on registering on the website just yet, as we just wait for it to launch. So what I'm going to do, whilst we wait for it to launch now, we're going to stop this particular Facebook Live, and I'd like to go to your questions. Okay, so we're going to stop this particular Facebook Live. I am then going to start another Facebook Live on the Gupta program page. So it will be the Facebook Live will be shared on the Gupta program page, and because Zoom and all of these different facilities are having huge problems at the moment with bandwidth, that's where we've had some challenges in getting this information to you. But we're going to end today's Facebook Live. Just go to the same page as you were before, where you found this particular video, and we will share the next Facebook Live, which is a Q&A. A Q&A on how you can boost your immune system to overcome the coronavirus and discover health. So thank you for watching. I'm going to see you in a few minutes again on the same Facebook page and do a Q&A. Remember, you can do this. You are empowered. You can make a difference with your immune system with some very simple changes. You can reduce your chances of getting an infection from the coronavirus by up to 80%. And if you do get it, you can halve the number of days that you have it. That's the empowering message that I want to give to you today. And this is going to make a difference. You're the hero in your own journey right now. So thank you for watching. I look forward to seeing you in a few minutes' time on our Q&A. Thank you and goodbye.